All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of We Create Music. I am your host, B. Vaughn, and today we have an extraordinary guest, producer, artist. I mean, you do a whole bunch of engineer, like Leni Luxo, y'all. This guy does everything. Say what's up to everybody.
It's good, everybody. Just really honored to be here. Grateful for you having me in your studio today. I'm just looking forward to just chopping it up and just kind of letting people know, letting my fans, those that support me, those that continue to just learn about me, just kind of familiarize themselves with who I am and all that I actually do. So.
That's right. So we got to dap it up because it'll be the first one that if we didn't dap it up, then
that's right.
I'm breaking tradition.
That's right.
That's right.
The tradition.
So if you wouldn't mind starting us off, just talk about how you got started.
Yeah, absolutely. So music, I feel like a lot of people always say it's always been something that's been a part of them. I feel like when you decide to be a producer, engineer, artist, anything you want to do, there's always like that fire that kind of burns inside of you, you know. And for me, some of my biggest influences growing up have always been just like my grandparents. My grandfather just always exposed me to like a plethora of music. He listened to everybody from Jimi Hendrix to the Supremes. So was always showing me just different people. I got the Latin influences with Carlos Santana, Celia Cruz, all those people. And I was just always amazed at how different cultures have a different sound. And just how things just kind of, different cultures rock differently, you know, and they have a different groove. And I've always been taught to just embrace that. So that's what kind of started my curiosity, if you will. Moving from that, I always been just really intrigued by the production, like the beats, the drums, melodies, things like that. I wouldn't say I was necessarily a great singer. I think part of knowing where to find your lane in music is knowing your strengths and being honest with yourself. But for me, definitely music production has always been the one thing. I was like, if I can help feed somebody else's soul and like just make them sound awesome, then I feel like I'm winning. Can't go wrong with that. I would say probably my earliest instances of dabbling with that would be probably maybe going into college. Okay. My roommate in college had a Reason. He started making beats on Reason.
Hey.
And, so I'm a Team Logic gang for those of y'all. But started on Reason. My buddy showed me a couple things. And I just remember getting so lost in it that, you know, you lose track of all time. Like 10 minutes or, 5 hours would feel like 10 minutes.
Right.
And I knew at that point I was like, this is it. Like, I forget to eat, forget to sleep, forget to go to the bathroom, like all kinds of stuff. You're just so laser focused on making music. And I was like, this is it. And from there, well, it took me a few years before, you save enough bread and start getting your own equipment and stuff like that. But I'll say it was after I left college, got my first job, spent pretty much all my first few paychecks on like laptop software, studio monitors, all of that. And the rest was just kind of history from there in terms of like the early beginnings of my sound.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah, man.
So you're originally from Atlanta?
No, so crazy. I'm originally from Northern Virginia. We say Northern Virginia. If you're from there, you wouldn't really call it Northern Virginia. Right. But we're about 5-6 months removed from there. Just moved down to Atlanta. Again, the music has been the biggest driving force getting me down here. Got a lot of stuff going on with my family as well in terms of just, got to take care of moms, getting her down here as well. But it's been a wild ride since I've been here. Like, I love this city. City's shown me a ton of love since I've been out here. And it's cool because I feel like as for how little I've been here, the relationships I've been able to forge, it feels like I've known some of these people my whole life. And I've got some really strong bonds with some guys I would really consider my brothers, to be honest with you. So
yeah, that's what's up in that short amount of time.
In a short amount of time, man. I think that just shows you the power of music, though. Like, I think when you're it's almost like a microwave. When you're in a studio, you're forging relationships because you're kind of forced to be really vulnerable in those settings. And I feel like that helps create an atmosphere where you can kind of speed the process where if you were outside of that setting, it would take you a while to build a relationship. Whereas you know, when you're in a studio, you're trying to create, like, you're really putting yourself out there. And again, yeah, those relationships can really grow.
That's right.
A lot faster.
Yeah, you know, so us Virginia boys, you know what I'm saying?
That's right.
You know, us Virginia boys here, there's several of us down here. So Mike Sick, Sound Oracle, well, shoot, maybe there's only two I kind of know that's down here from Virginia.
Cato's Virginia too, but he don't really.
Yeah, Cato, I mean,
We use no.
you know, when you come on, we'll talk about, you know, being, you know, from Virginia and stuff.
That's right.
But yeah, you know, so then coming from Virginia to Atlanta and then establishing those relationships. So what were some of the first things that you did when you first got here to kind of ingrain yourself into the music scene down here in Atlanta?
Absolutely. So I've done a lot of work with iStandard, and just knew when I was coming out here, I instantly was trying to figure out who was out here. Didn't really have a whole lot of leads, but I knew the homie Sis, and he, I think my second day here, had sent me a tweet, and was like, hey, there's this A3C event going on, like a little mixer in the city. And I just turned around and looked at my wife. I was like, hey, this is where we're here. It's our second day. I know we still got stuff in boxes, like trying to figure it out, but this is where we're here. And I feel like I had an option actually at that point to either go out to this event or choose to just stay at home and do the responsible thing and keep packing boxes and whatnot. But when I look back, I know that that particular instance was one of those things that was just kind of meant to happen. You know, it's like the right place, right time kind of deals. Excuse me. That's when I met my my homie Smart Boy through that. Met the homie Anatomy through that.
That's right.
Met so many guys that I was just blown away with just their drive. Yeah, so that was like one of the first things I did to get plugged in out here. And then, you know, you just keep going and working and trying to figure it out from there. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that can happen here in Atlanta that moves and kind of put you on a fast track to building those relationships and making those connections and really getting work in, right? So going to the things like the A3 social club and things like that.
Yep.
I've been to several of those myself, and you do kind of, and that's so weird. The second day here, that's kind of like crazy. Smart Boy. So for those of you who have not seen the Smart Boy interview, right? Make sure you go back and check that out. He talks about his first day that he's in Atlanta, and the first day he goes to a beat battle. Like the very first day, he drives here, and that's where he goes, is to a beat battle. And I think he enters the beat battle.
Yeah.
I think he wins. No, I don't know if he wins or not. But he talks about it in the interview. So make sure you check it out. But, you know, that's what people need to do. They need to come and hit the ground running. Because just moving to Atlanta doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to be successful. Right? Even though Atlanta is a very welcoming and opening city, you got to put in a lot of work.
You do put in a lot of work.
A lot of work.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of sacrifice, a lot of time away from family, a lot of late nights. But it's very rewarding. You know, I think coming out here, just making that decision, going back to that, like making that decision can seem like such a huge decision to make to leave where you're comfortable, leave family and friends and what you've grown up knowing, to kind of really bet on yourself and take that risk. I think that's where a lot of people stop. Like, you know, okay, I moved, I'm here now. That's where that's a decision I've made. But I think you got to realize that's only the first step of a much bigger fish that you're trying to fry. And that was my mentality. I was like, as daunting or as overwhelming as the move felt like, I knew that was for real. Just we were still crawling at that point. You know, getting here is where the work starts. So.
And it's where the work's, and I think that's what people don't understand, is that when you get to a music city, whether it's Atlanta or Nashville or LA or New York or wherever it may be, it's getting there and start to put the work in. Because once you get here, you just can't sit back and be like, okay, yeah, I'm just going to wait for opportunities to come because I'm in a music city and I'm dope. You got to put in a lot of hours. And making the right connections with the right people.
Sure. And I think it comes to like not being afraid to really invest in yourself and like really believe in, if you really believe that this is what you're meant to be doing, like not being afraid to invest in yourself, whether that means sacrificing just time, whether that means sacrificing finances. Like it's not even sacrificing finance. That's investing in yourself. I think about that was one of the first things I did when I came out here. So I met up with Smart Boy. I always bring him up because that's like,
shout out to Smart Boy.
Yeah, that's my
shout out to Smart
A1.
Boy.
Yeah, that's my homie right there. And the reason why I respect him so much is he's just a genuinely good dude, but he also he tells you straight up. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a very honest guy, and I always wanted my my sound to be really good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I first linked up with him, I was like, okay, so this is what I'm working with. This is my music. What do you think? And just honest. Come from a place of love, but that's what you need. Like you'll find a lot of people who'll tell you you're dope all day long,
right?
But you need guys who are gonna help you level
that's
up your
right.
sound. And I know when he started explaining that to me, that's when I was like, okay, well, we need to figure out what we got to do to get these mixes right. Because I know the music's there, I know the ideas are there. Now it's just the quality needs to get there. And that's when I kind of started linking up with Amon Jackson. So yeah, I think the big thing is not being afraid to invest in yourself. Whether that comes with sacrificing time, sacrificing money, and just surrounding yourself with people that you know are gonna make you better. You want to be in a room where people are gonna challenge you creatively, are gonna challenge you to the ends of your technical skills. All of that I think is very important. And for me, I knew that's when I needed to seek out somebody who was going to help me with my mix quality. And that's when I kept hearing AJ, Amon Jackson, his name popping up in different corners and circles and stuff like that. And I got to a point where I was like, all right, like I've heard this guy too many times from too many people. I was like, it's worth actually, just entertaining and seeking it out. And around that time is when he started doing his Sound Essentials classes.
Right. And
I was actually part of like his first one, and we just kind of forged a deep relationship through that. And it's been a wild journey from meeting up with him. Super generous guy. If you guys have never like sat with him, y'all need to.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm telling you, you're gonna learn a lot, and it's gonna really help you progress in your production. But yeah, I would say that was a huge thing for me, was just starting to invest in my sound. And I noticed even with the 5 months of me being down here, I feel like I'm a completely different producer as a result of that. And I feel, as a result of that alone, it's been able to get me into rooms that I may have not been able to get into with the quality I was bringing in the beginning. So, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to AJ. AJ on the buttons. Yes. You know what I'm saying? He's the homie. Y'all get him. Yeah. And if you haven't had a chance to check out his Sound Essentials course, I feel like I'm doing a commercial now for AJ. Yeah. If you haven't had a chance to check out his Sound Essentials course, it will be coming online very soon so that you're able to attend worldwide. Yep. Yeah. We just had the privilege of filming his last Sound Essentials course down at Salem Psalm. So that was, I just wanted to be a part of that because I know I know AJ, and I know of his amazing work and his humility and his quality that he brings to the table. So, and you felt the energy in the room. The vibes you could tell were just, it was very homey. Like it was very, the group of creators in that room was, it was kind of surreal when you think about like just the talent that was there, but also the energy that they bring. The vibes that in that room were great that day. Yeah. It's hard to recreate. I'm gonna go back to something you said because it's just, it's in my head right at the moment. Sure. So why did you leave Reason to go to Logic? Why did I leave Reason to go to Logic? Yeah. So Reason was never my official DAW. It's kind of what I started on through my buddy stuff. I just started doing research and I wanted a happy medium. I knew, for those of you guys who were Team FL gang, I knew that FL for me was beat making. Reason I felt like was very predominantly beat making, but I wanted to be an all around producer. Shout out to the motorcycle guy. I love him. This is the time he goes to work, I think. But yeah, shout out to the motorcycle guy. Sounds good. So yeah, I felt like with those DAWs, and maybe you guys can help prove me wrong and show me the light or whatever, but I knew I wanted to be a well-rounded producer, not just somebody who made beats. I wanted to be a guy who could be in a room and influence the creative direction of a track, of a whole song. And I found that for me, Logic was a good medium for that. because there was some workflow things that I thought helped me be proficient at creating beats, but also from the production tracking side, I knew that I would be able to do what I wanted to do in my mind to track vocals and artists and things like that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would say as a person who uses Reason, right? I don't know. Reason has stepped up his game though.
They actually
have. There's a lot of things that are still, because I pick at them. I pick at Propeller Head. Like, okay, where's this? Where's that at? How come we still don't have an MP3 export?
Right.
When every other DAW has it. I mean,
let them know.
Come on, Reason Studios, right?
That's right.
Where's MP3 export?
Exactly.
Right, we still don't got that.
But I will say, coming from A3C, I did hear a lot of buzz about Reason and all the stuff they've been doing. So it does pique your curiosity. You know, you always want to be ear to the streets with what's going on in different DAWs and things like that.
But Logic is dope. Like so I started on Ableton, and then went from Ableton to Reason to Logic. You used Logic for several years. Then went back to Reason, and then to Machine.
Okay. Yeah, you could show me some stuff on Machine.
And then I bought FL, and I used that for like a week.
A week. I feel it.
And I've never used it ever since then.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I respect that.
So in your conversation, you were talking about sacrificing time, sacrificing money. So talk about some of your own personal sacrifices that you've had to make in your journey with just being in this music industry.
Sacrifices, I think, start with how recently I've been down here. You leave a lot of family behind. You leave a lot of memories behind. Sometimes leaving your hometown is like the best feeling and the worst feeling at the same time. It's tough to say goodbye, and a lot of your family thinks you're crazy. Yeah. You know, they won't. I have a huge support system though, so I won't say I've heard it from my family, but you know, you do hear, like, you can almost feel it sometimes. You're like, I'm not 1,000% on this, you coming out here and pursuing this stuff, but nothing can penetrate. Like, when you believe in yourself, you know, 100%, there's nothing that's going to deter you from it. You know, when you're really betting on yourself, no matter what anyone says around you, and this comes with a sense of humility as well. You know, you got to be honest with yourself. But when you know that you have a skill set or something that can really push you forward, nothing's going to stop you from that.
Right.
But I'll say leaving home, huge sacrifice. Being down here has been a tremendous sacrifice with my wife. Just celebrated 2-year wedding anniversary.
Hey, congratulations.
I have to give the biggest shout out to my wife. She is everything. The hugest, biggest support system.
She the hugest support system.
Yeah, we make up words because there's just no words that'll describe how much she actually just gives up to allow me to be out in the city at any given hours of the night, being in different studios. She's just, it's been wild. So I would say I sacrifice a lot of time being away from home, and her understanding it never ceases to amaze me just how much she just invests her energy just to allow me to be out there and making a better life for us. So I cannot wait to, you know, when things really start falling in place and that traction really starts going the way I know it's about to. I can't wait to be like, look, you don't have to work if you don't want to. Like, buy you the whole world. I can't wait to just give it all back to her for everything she's already given me.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, shout out to the supportive wives.
Man, they don't
out
get
there
enough credit.
Because that's true. They don't get enough credit.
Yeah.
Because while we're out here in studios, I mean, they're sacrificing time with us also, right?
Yeah.
There are things that they're going through and dealing with because we're physically not present at that time. So, you know,
holding the whole house together.
Holding everything down, like holding it down.
The whole house.
And I was telling somebody previously, in kind of my whole situation with We Create Music was the fact that, man, my wife's been super supportive through this whole process. But I do remember in the beginning, I wanted to, you know, buy all this equipment and do all this stuff. And at first I was going to do it in my studio, my regular music studio, but there was not enough room to do what I was going to do there. And so we had this spare bedroom right here. And I said, I just want to use the spare bedroom to kind of do, you know, the TV thing.
How'd that talk go? No,
she was like, I don't know about that. I'm like, well, why? Like, she said, and it made perfect sense. This is our home. It is our sanctuary. This you're gonna have all types of people coming in and out during interviews.
Yep.
You know, and this is kind of us. This is where our thing happens here.
Absolutely.
And it's our sanctuary. But she thought about it, and I'm so glad she did.
Tell her personally thank you.
She,
I
oh yeah,
get that.
oh yeah, oh my wife knows.
Yeah.
Like
super great.
all day. Thank you. And so just by her saying yes, let's go ahead and do it. I support you.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to create an amazing show.
Yeah.
Because of her ability to support the vision.
Yeah, no, I relate with that 100%. I know when we were moving down here, looking at places to live, it came down to that because I knew I was going to have people over, tracking sessions. The whole, it's just us right now. We could have got easily a 1-bedroom apartment, been able to save a lot of bread. But I was like, no, we need an extra room because that's where the studio is going.
Right.
It has to be set up a certain way because for me, I was like, I know it's just you. I don't want people all over the house, to get into the studio type thing. So there was a lot that came into that. And then you just look at the price point on that. You're like, man, we could have, to be renting an apartment down here for a 1-bedroom, could have saved easily a few $100. But again, her believing in the dream, believing in the vision, now I have a creative space, even in my own home, that has proven fruitful, more than fruitful. So it's crazy.
It's great. It's great, right?
Crazy.
I know.
But people don't think about that. That's true.
No, people don't think about it. But when you have a support, and I think that's what people need. And if you're currently out there right now and you're kind of battling with this support structure, if you're not married, find people who support your vision, support what you do, so that you can have those things to rely upon. When you face, tough times, you can still have that support system to kind of push you through and help push your vision through as well.
Oh yeah.
I think that's critically, if I can actually say the word right, critically important for us music creatives, because you're right. I mean, we're spending hours on our craft, hours away from our kids, hours away from our spouses, hours away
obscure
from
hours too.
Obscure hours too, like
normal 9 to 5 hours.
Yeah, no, it's like 3:00 in the morning.
That happened.
You're at the studio and you're getting texts on your phone and like and you're like, hey, I'll be home in a little bit. I'm still in this session.
We're wrapping up. I think.
Right. And 5:00 you get home.
That's right.
And so being able to have that support system is beneficial.
Yes.
That's right. So in this whole coming to Atlanta, you mentioned that it has been a welcoming city.
Yes.
That you felt like the people you've connected with in the short time have been your brothers, right?
Yeah. Oh man.
So talk kind of about the differences, and not to pick on Virginia, but the differences between the music culture in Virginia and the music culture here in Atlanta.
So I will say, if you're not, I can't speak on necessarily. I feel like the people I've been or have bonded with the most have been people here for the same vision, but not maybe necessarily from Atlanta per se. I feel like you'll find a lot of people that are in that boat.
Right.
The big thing is the like-mindedness of the vision. When you leave your home, your hometown's great because that's where you build your roots. Like that's where you build your sound. That's where you figure yourself out, find out who you are as a producer or creative or anything like that. But sometimes the visions in those cities, you're basing it off of, and this is if you're not in another, maybe a major music hub. And this is, again, only speaking from my experience. So everybody else's experience could be different. But I can imagine if you were in, like, say, LA or New York or even, like, Miami, so other like, really big music hubs where there's a lot of influence there, you'd probably get a similar cultures because you have people transplanting from everywhere, but we're all zeroed in on a common goal, you know what I mean? And when you get people around you who have that same like-mindedness, I think that's what contributes to that deep relationship. We talked about like being in the studio. When you're in the studio, that's your sanctuary. Like that's like where all your vulnerability comes out. Like where you're trying to lay down your hardest drums or trying to lay down your dopest melodies or be as creative as possible.
You're right.
So when you have that and you have people in that room that are pushing for the same thing, you guys know that you're in the same struggle together. And I think with anything, any life experience, even outside of music, that naturally just brings people together. Yeah. And I feel like that's why Atlanta, for me, has been so welcoming because I came down here and it's just been, now that we're here, let's get to work, and And I think too, part of it is when you're looking for something and you have a drive, like you're always gonna find what you're looking for. You know, if you want negativity, you're gonna find negativity. If you want positivity, you're gonna find that. And I've always been one to just give off great vibes, and I want to inspire other people. And I feel like I've been blessed with having people, positive people in my circle. And when I find those people, I try and keep them as close as possible.
Oh yeah,
because you don't always find people that you feel like you can trust and that you can are going to help you move your sound forward unselfishly. And so when you find that, like, keep that close to you. And it goes back to just having that support system even. You know, it's my circle is very important to me. I like to keep it very small, if you will. And yeah, I think that's really what I think separates Atlanta though from a lot of other places is we're all down here for the same vision. And when you find people who are unselfishly pursuing the same thing and understand that there's so much food, like everybody can eat, like you don't have to have, like what I'm doing, you can't do because it's not your destiny, it's not your lane. And I think when you realize that, there's no need to be selfish. Like we really all can eat. Like there's for real so much to go around. And I think when that clicks for people, that's what opens a lot of doors.
Yeah. I've said it several times on the show before is that there's a huge difference between having an abundance mindset and a scarcity mindset, right? So the scarcity mindset is just exactly what you talked about when they're like, oh, there's not enough out here. And if I allow you to get, then I can't get. And then if you get the placement, I can't get the placement. If you get the connection, I can't get the connection. Yeah. But what I found here in Atlanta is the complete opposite. It's an abundance mentality. It's like, yo, we're all in this together. We're all going to eat together. You may not do what I do, but I'm going to ensure that opportunities are open and available. You know, they're not closed off to having people, come into circles. I found it very easy to get into circles because where I came from, moving from, I'm not going to St. Louis, but this is just the truth. Coming from St. Louis, where I spent the last 10 years, and moving to Atlanta, and St. Louis is a completely different ball game. When if you try to break into a circle, it is air tight. It's like, wait, did we grow up together? The St. Louis has this thing. What high school did you go to?
And base everything off.
And they base everything off of the high school that you went to.
Jeez.
Seriously, from a class, social status, from who your friends are, from what groups you're in, from certain areas of the city that people go to or don't go to. It is all based upon what high school you went to.
Jeez.
Not college, like not in college you went to.
Yeah, forget your higher education.
But what high school did you go to? Like we're gonna go back to high school. And that's exactly how spending the past 10 years in that city and then moving to Atlanta, I see there's a huge difference in the way that Atlanta's mentality is versus the St. Louis mentality. Right? I think they're just now starting to kind of see what other cities have been doing and kind of opening up. But it is still a tough crowd to break into. But that's why I love Atlanta. And because you have, just think about how easily we connected. Yeah. I met you I think that was the first time I met you was at AJ's studio. Yeah. Now we're sitting here today.
Yep.
Right.
That's how you manifest things into existence.
That's right. And so I'm sure the relationship is just going to grow even further from that. But without being able to kind of just get into those circles, I think people leave themselves at a disadvantage because they never know who they're going to connect with in the future.
You really never know. Like, that's what I'm saying. If I would have never been at certain events, having heard AJ's, name dropped, in a positive light, you don't seek that individual out, right? But if he doesn't open himself out, you don't make relationships with other people, and this doesn't happen, know? So the industry is small. When you really think about it,
super small,
and it's wild, like how it pays to not be a jerk, and it pays to just to, like you said, to be open minded and being somewhat accepting of the creative direction that people are headed.
Because so you mentioned anatomy, so I had anatomy on the show. And we didn't realize because I first met anatomy at Patchworks during the Native Instruments session for A3C.
Okay.
And so that's why I first met him. cool. I talked to him about coming on the show. He came onto the show. But what it really was is what happened after the show, where we really knew that the music industry was super small, is because we were talking about branding and building websites and the things that he's going to do in the future. And I was like, cool, let me show you the websites that I built so you can kind of give you some idea. And I pulled up my old website. And so I used to go by the name Strict 9.
Okay.
And I pulled it up and he was like, wait a minute, you're Strict 9? I was like, yeah. He was like, you know Nab? I was like, yeah. I said, Nab's my best friend. He was like,
you're like, Nab's my best friend.
he was like, I know Nab. And then we just started rattling off everybody. But our connections go back 10 years. Had no clue. He knows the exact same people that I know. And you never know how people's paths are going to cross.
It's wild.
It's so crazy. It is so crazy. But it just goes back to saying, making sure you're humble, making sure that you're speaking and making the right types of connections. You're not being a jerk to other people. To other
just
people.
never know.
That's right.
That's been my philosophy since day one, and it's never steered me wrong.
Man, so I want to talk about your music.
Let's do it.
Yes, because I heard some stuff the other day, and I'm waiting to hear that. Y'all can't hear it yet, right? You can't because you just can't. But I'm going to hear it though, because woo! Let's talk about your music.
Let's get into it.
Yes, sir. So let's talk about how do you get inspired? What really motivates you to create the type of music that you do?
Probably like a lot of other people. Whatever is going on in your life at that time, it drives, I think for me creatively, the headspace that I'm in. So, you're going through something difficult, you're probably going to make something in a minor key, probably going to make something just very reflective. If you're positive, a lot of things are going really well. For me, I kind of dabble the line between like a hip hop and more pop sound. Okay. So for me, if I'm, things are going really well, I find myself creating a lot more upbeat, more poppy sounding records. So I think that's where my inspiration comes from. If I feel like I'm at a lack of inspiration, then biggest thing I think producers don't do enough or creators don't do enough is go outside. Go breathe fresh air. Outside. Yeah, go outside. And I'm sure a lot of y'all know exactly the feeling when you sit in a session and you're so zeroed in on something. It's almost like those first few human interactions are kind of awkward. You just go to the gas station, you're like, I don't even know how to talk to the cashier right now. I'm still myself back at the studio, right. Away from society. So I always say go outside, just get back in touch with reality. And usually that's what does it for me. I don't know, whatever works for you guys, but that might be a gem. Go outside. Go get some air.
Get some air.
Literally it.
I ask several people, what keeps you inspired? And it's never, I'm being in the studio for 10 hours is what keeps me inspired. No, they're always it's going outside. It's getting in nature. It's talking to people. It's doing things that I like to do. Playing sports, doing whatever. But it's never really about what happens in the studio.
Yeah. Get some family time. I got a husky. Got a lot of energy, so take them out, running, going hiking, just stuff that just kind of frees your mind, gets your mind back opened up. That thing, that's the big thing. If you feel like you're lacking in inspiration, it's because your mind is focused in a good. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but you're almost just kind of closing your mind to what you have working on or what direction you're going. So you almost want to reopen that back up.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Talk about any artists you've worked with or things that may be coming up in the future that people need to know about?
This goes back to just the whole circle. My big thing too is collaboration. So I love meeting artists. I love meeting just creatives. It's that's probably another thing that just inspires you. You meet somebody else and you think you have a direction on a beat or something and you're like, just write to this. Let me see where it goes. And what they come up with is 10 times better than you ever thought the song could even reach to. Collaboration, I think, is very important. That's been one of the things I've been on the hunt for since I've been out here as well. It's just finding artists that I believe in terms of their sound, again, their belief systems, their morals, kind of fall in line with me. Been grateful to find a few along the way. Putting together a little small EP I kind of want to not giving myself too big of a deadline, but I know it'll be the turn of the new year, looking into January, March time frame. I'm sitting on three records, mostly completed right now. Want to have a little listening party with some people and just kind of get some honest feedback and go back and tweak some things. But we got 3 under the belt right now. that sound is going to be more of a reflective pop. Um, Maybe like some Weekend. I don't know, meets
Okay.
I don't even know what other Ariana Grande something. Somewhere along those lines, I'm
All right,
thinking
that should
ahead.
sound
Yeah.
that
So
sound dope.
yeah, I think it'll sound really great.
Is
Really
it going to
dope.
be you performing on it?
A lot of my production.
No, I mean, are you
in
going to
terms
be
of-
are you going to be dropping melodies on it and you yourself rapping or singing on it?
No melodies, no rapping, no singing. I leave that to my artists in my studio. You might hear guitar lick or two on there. That's my first love is guitar. But yeah, so that'll be a lot of collaborative effort. So kind of, I like to say I'm kind of DJ Khaled in the project. You know, I'll be sitting there,
That's right.
got my sprinkles on it all, but my artist doing a lot of heavy lifting, which
Okay.
I respect the artist more than anything. So as far as other things going on with music, I don't know. Always just looking to collab. I love it because
So if you're in Atlanta, I know I'm going to collab. You know what I'm saying?
it's
So
important.
because when I heard him playing that guitar riff the other day on Instagram,
Thanks.
I was like, "Ooh,
Yeah, that was
Yes.
that was wild.
Yeah.
But you see a lot of that stuff out here too. I think
Mhm.
that goes back and that kind of feeds into the culture in Atlanta. Like it's not uncommon to be like, "Yo, I met you yesterday. Let's come cook up. Let's
Yes.
see where we go with something." And
See, so that's what I'm
that's
talking about.
Amazing.
Is
It's
in
amazing.
in other cities I've been to, it doesn't happen that way.
Mm-mm.
It's like, okay, we meet, cool. You make music, I make music.
Let
Okay,
me-
let's go make music.
Yeah.
Another city is like, you make music, I make music.
Let me prove to you that my beats are harder than your beats. I'm like, I don't care
Yes.
about that. Like,
Like, why?
Yeah.
It's not a competition.
yeah.
People, but then that goes back to what I just said about abundance mentality versus scarcity mentality. Because if I
Right.
see you always as my competition, I always got to outshine you.
Mhm.
I'm coming from a perspective of lack already,
Yeah.
scarcity already. But if I see you like, oh man, he's dope. Okay, I'm dope. But how can we get together and make something doper?
Crazy,
I don't even know
right?
if dope
Like-
is a word, but that's gonna be
Yeah, but that's
doper,
that's
right?
the
How can we do
mentality.
that?
Yeah, I think that's my everything. Like that's it. That's,
Yeah. And see, that's why I love Atlanta because it is so easy to do that. You know, you find people with talent. Like when I got here, literally when I got here, so you met Delisha.
Mhm.
You
Oh
were
my
sitting
gosh,
right next to her, right?
I actually was just in the studio with her this week.
That's what's up.
Did a collab lab with iStandard. She was actually one of my partners in our little circle. We'll get into that actually because that's
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
cool, like how the sessions.
That's
but-
what, so we'll talk about that right after. So
Yeah.
when I first got here, we did a song together.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, I mean, I've known her a couple years before that, but when I moved here, we sat down. I sent her the beat. She was in the back. We did a mix and match, but we put it up.
Mm-hmm.
It happened that fast.
Yeah.
Most places don't happen that fast.
No. There's not.
She's dope too. So if you haven't checked out the interview with Delisha, make sure you check it out too.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
she's a fantastic person.
Mhm.
It's funny how we connected. I had seen her in like small circles here and there,
Mhm.
but the first time we actually had opportunity to work on music was, iStandard does these like collab labs where they bring a bunch of producers and artists, and we all just get in a room and we cook up for like hours on end,
Yep.
and it's a lot of fun, and you're really pushing your limits, which I love because I've never left one where I didn't feel like I didn't grow.
Mm.
And I was actually very fortunate to have her be in my little group the last time, the last one that just passed. And the energy was wild. Like we really cranked out, I think, 3 records. We were the last ones to record. So going back to the whole support system, 3 in the morning type deal, that session didn't end. But we were like, we have to lay this hook down before we leave.
Right.
We got to get these ideas out. And it actually allowed itself just through that, the opportunity where we were just over her studio this past week. It was actually me, Smart Boy, and her cooking up some
okay.
other stuff. So it goes back to those
Yeah.
whole relationships. I love how that circle works.
Mhm.
Same thing with that. That collab lab lent itself to where you saw me on live the other day playing
Mhm.
guitar. We were actually at one of the other producers that were in my group during that collab lab. It's his studio that we went to right after that. So again, you never know. The industry is
Mhm.
small. So it pays to not be a jerk. Give yourself
Yes.
because you don't know where those opportunities will lead. And it's just wild that both of those sessions happen to be in the same week and stem from a similar session
That's
like
right.
a few weeks back. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
when I
see-
think about that.
Yeah, see that's the awesome part that I love is when you meet people, you instantly make a connection, and then it leads to work with one another. Okay, so let's talk about the iStandard at A3C that you just did.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about how that took place and what was that experience like.
Man, first off, huge shout out to those guys. I love them so much. I feel like a lot of my short-term success down here has been, they've been a catalyst for a lot of that. It's wild because having come down here, I think we talked about getting in touch with Sis, getting me plugged in relatively quickly and kind of springboarded my connections, if you will. And it's crazy because through just the collab labs and meeting up with them, just being around, always being thirsty for that next opportunity, it really lent itself to, you want to talk about like opening up doors. So it's funny, about a week before A3C, I was still on the fence. I was like, I might go. If not, I'm probably not getting a pass, but I know I'll be around because the whole city's going to be lit up during that week. Every studio, every venue's got a show or something. So like, even if I don't go, I know there's going to be plenty of opportunity. And I just so happened to like check my email one night, and it was actually Sunday night. And he was like, hey, just wanted to let you know, this is Hatch. It was just like, hey, wanted to go ahead and invite you out. Thank you for showing a lot of love to iStandard this past year. I want to invite you to be one of the speakers at one of our events that's going on. And like, it was one of those things where like, you got to read it again.
It was like, man, this ain't real.
Yeah, you're like checking
it's one of them. It's one of those emails like, will you get $1 million and you're now the heir to, so you got to like read it up.
Yeah. So I was like, what? And so I hit him up. Of course, I'm like, I'm always like, all right, so what's going on? He's like, oh yeah, bro, like you coming out, like you want to be a speaker, you don't worry about nothing. I'm gonna tell you where to get your pass and everything like that. And I was like, this is wild. Like I've never been to A3C in my life.
Wow.
And to be invited to be a speaker at an A3C event, that was like one of the most humbling things, I think, just to be around so many creative people and to know that you're kind of like on the other side, like as a speaker, you kind of get to see a different perspective. But it was such a huge blessing. Like, I don't even know, like I'm still look back and I'm like, it's so crazy to me. Like I feel like I have so much more to learn and like to take in from a lot of other people. But it just created a springboard for just other opportunity. And the artists that I was able to meet from the panel that I was doing was kind of like a speed listening. So our artists would come in and we would hear a lot of their music, just provide them like feedback, maybe use it as an opportunity to collaborate on other music.
Nice.
It's crazy because even that night, so from being invited to be a speaker at that event, it springboarded to an opportunity. We ended up at 12 Studios the Sunday of A3C, and it was wild because it turned into, I was supposed to be at 12, just playing some music for people. There was an artist there that I had really vibed with during the speed listening sessions. And I'm talking, the producers that were in this room were guys that like I look up to. You had Double A, you had Smart Boy in there, you had Sis in there, you had I don't want to leave anybody out, Trap Jesus, you had H&M.
Trap, you know what? Yeah. Okay, wait.
All these guys.
Shout out to Trap Jesus.
Trap Jesus.
Yeah. AKA Luke Rain. Straight from Seattle.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my guy right there.
But
so, yes.
The reaction alone lets you know the caliber of talent that was in that room, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, we're all just spinning out. Actually, Lo-Fi was in there too. Nice. We were just spinning out beats for her to like pick. And at the end of all of it, like I was ready I had already promised Double A and I think H&M a ride. We were actually going to AJ's because he was doing a Sound Essentials class. And I was like, yeah, bet. Like we can go over there. I'll give you a ride, no problem. Like we'll go to that side of town right after this. And she was like, no, I think I'm going to hop on your track. And I was like, well, that changes everything. I was like, now I got to stay here and produce a record. I was like, sorry, guys. Like, I don't mean to be lame, but, it just, going back to the whole thing, it's just, it's cool to see how, like, having been invited to A3C, again, it leads to, being a speaker at A3C leads to meeting artists, leads to being in a studio session, leads to, somebody being on, that you admire their sound, too, and being in a room full of other producers. And now you have a record that you're producing. Right. It's crazy. Like it's
so crazy. One interaction leads to other interactions.
Yeah.
And depending on how you engage yourself in that interaction, leads to other doors opening.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd be surprised how many people I interviewed on this show that every time I talk to them, it's, man, when I got here, I got plugged into iStandard. Or I met Sis. So when Sis goes in here, I'm like, Sis, you know how many people talk about y'all on this show?
Like I'm
gonna do like a montage of just iStandard and Sis and Hatch type stuff because but shout out to iStandard because that's how I even got involved and that's how kind of I know a whole bunch of people. Because when I was in St. Louis, I took second place in the iStandard showcase there.
Yeah.
Which of course got me a entry to Beats of the Beats, which I actually never went to.
Right.
I never really. It was one of those things like, man, I'm gonna go get destroyed.
Yeah.
But I could have used it as a learning experience.
Know.
But I'm like, man, I'm gonna go get destroyed.
Go get cleaned up.
I done heard Sick With It at his stuff. I heard Brian Royal. I done heard so many people. I'm like Black Bells and Fuego.
All the European guys, man.
I'm like, man, I'm not going to no Beats of the Beats. But anyway, but with that, iStandard has opened up a lot of doors for people to get connected and to really network and build relationships with other people.
100%.
So shout out y'all for doing that, for your platform, for your engagement in the community, the singer-songwriter engineers community.
Yes.
So shout out to Hatch, shout out to Sis and Don. We appreciate y'all.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right, so talk about what advice you would give someone coming into this music industry. What are some things that they need to be really mindful of?
Advice. There's so much advice to give. I feel like allowing yourself to mess up, I guess, and not. I'm looking at it as it's growth. You know, you're not messing up. Like everything you do is growth, and I think falling in love with learning, falling in love with just being creative and always pushing yourself. Never feeling like you're at a point where you made it. Like if you feel like you made it, like that's complacency. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
So as long as you're always pushing yourself, it sounds very generic, but I think
that's true.
That's very
because it's like, you know what, I made it. I don't really have to try that hard anymore because
somebody said my beat was dope. Like
my beat was dope. Cool. So
like you made one now. Replicate that like 1,000 more times, you know, and keep going. Other advice would be don't be afraid to bet on yourself. I think if you really want to be successful, understanding that it's going to take a lot of time, it's going to take a lot of sacrifice from your family. It takes a lot of betting on yourself financially. You know, you start getting in rooms and there's only so far you can go, I feel like. And not saying you're going to spend, you know, all your life savings on anything, but I think there is a level of realizing, okay, if I want to progress to a certain degree, I need to invest in things like a Sound Essentials class. I need to invest in studio time. I need to invest in interviews. I need to invest in marketing. Like all these little pockets, if you want them done properly and you want your brand to really shine well, it does take that investment. And I think you only invest in yourself if you believe in yourself. Nobody spends money on things they don't believe in.
That's right.
You know, don't think will benefit them. So I think that's the advice.
Yeah.
Be ready to spend some money, but also don't be a jerk. And
don't be a jerk.
Yeah, and just fall in love with learning. Like never stop learning.
Yeah. Never stop learning. I mean learn. And I'm sure you'll probably agree with this too, but just for me, there's always two sides to that. There's always learning about your craft and ensuring that you are a student of the craft, but also the learning of things like the music business itself.
Business is so important.
Right? It's critically important. Like you can spend all day and be the dopest beat maker, producer, singer, songwriter, artist, engineer, whatever. But if you don't know anything about the music industry, oh man.
Can't take it anywhere.
You can't. Right, because they're going to eat you alive.
Yeah.
Eat you alive and take you for all your worth.
It's true, because there's people you will have never heard of who are making a very comfortable living.
That's right.
Doing this. And there's people that you know have their greatest hits albums and have nothing to give their families. So it goes back to that. And then lastly too, the circle. It goes back to the people you keep around you, your team, if you will, and that may be your manager and your, you know, business manager, all that stuff. But I think your circle that's going to help keep you grounded during times where you feel like you're at a lack of inspiration. You know, music is so like you have the highest highs and the lowest lows. There's not a lot of times you're like, you know, just coasting. But you need people who are going to just feed your spirit during both of those times. And I think for me, that's what's kept my drive and has helped me time and time again. It's just the people that I know I can reach out to when I feel like things aren't going the way I expect them to, and I just really trust their insight on things. Because you're gonna be in so many situations, and even since I've been in Atlanta, where you don't know how to navigate some waters, but you want to make sure you navigate them tactfully, and you want to make sure you again are coming out the other end doing clean business, and that's very important to me. So having people that you can really just trust their insight, and then also keep you humble. Like, hey, buddy, like you're not there yet. Like you haven't. Don't worry.
But you have to be willing to be able to take that, though.
Yeah, I guess.
You mentioned in the beginning being vulnerable. You have to be able to take that, because artists, rappers, singers, whatever title they have within this industry, have to be at a point where they can take that feedback from someone else to help them improve. And a lot of times people don't, because it's like sometimes it can be ego crushing. Like, oh man,
definitely.
I thought I'm dope, but you just said I didn't want to work. You don't like my drums, my melodies suck. Like the structure of the song is not the way it really needs to. Like, oh man. But we have to take it with a grain of salt and say, what am I going to take from whatever he or she is telling me to get better?
Absolutely.
And I think that's what, if people have the right intent to help people get better, then you can take it more. It's more palatable.
Yeah, I think you understand that. Yeah, you understand it's coming from a place of love and to make you better. I mean, there's been plenty of times where someone's like, the drums don't knock. And then you're like, okay, I appreciate your opinion, but I'm about to keep these drums on this.
Yeah, I'm about to keep these drums.
But I think it does come from understanding, okay, maybe it's not the drums that don't knock. It's all the other crap that's in the way that you're indirectly telling me my mix sucks. Like, you're not telling me the drums don't knock. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, understanding that it's coming from a place of love. It's not coming from a place of,
that's right,
I'm trying to break you down.
That's right. Yeah. Man, that's what's up. So where can people find you?
Leni Luxo on everything. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. LeniLuxo. So Leni Luxo.
Leni Luxo. I'm telling you.
Yeah, Luxo about to
y'all going to have to find out here soon. Because if you don't know Leni Luxo, you will soon. Like I said, we just did the Sound Essentials with AJ. And I kid you not, I left there as a producer going, I saw, dang, like, wow. Because I heard some stuff that night that made me reassess if that's what I really should be doing. And I came, it was so funny. I came home and I was like, yo, everybody in that place was dope. Did you hear the stuff they was playing?
Yeah.
And I'm talking to my son, because, he was there with him. I'm talking to him, and I'm like,
shout out to the guys behind the camera.
Shout out to the camera guys.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
They get zero love.
They get zero love. Well, they get all the love. They get a lot of love, but y'all get to see them. But they do an amazing job to ensure that this is filmed the right way, and the audio quality is the right way. So I love y'all. Shout out to y'all. But I was talking to my son, and I came home and I was like, man, them beats was dope. Like, did you hear, like, wow. I was like, I make good music. He was like, yeah, dude. I'm like, but it ain't like that. He was like, yeah, you're right. It ain't at that level that you just heard tonight. I was like, oh man. But I took that to go, you know what, you're right. It's not at that level. What can I do to get at that level? Because what I heard from you and Delisha and Smart Boy and Jube and I was like, I literally came home and was like, man, I suck. I texted Smitty Boy. I was like, Smitty, I suck. He sent me a text. He was like, why you say that? I'm like, because I just heard all these people play some amazing stuff at AJ's spot, and they killed it, hands down. So my whole point in saying all of that is, if you don't know Leni Luxo, trust me, you will.
Thank you.
You will. He's only been here, what, five months, going on 6 months. Wait until a whole year passes.
It's going to be wild to look back.
It's gonna be
I can't wait to see
wild.
this interview in 6 months. Yeah, that'd be
wild. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, thank you so much for having me, man.
Yeah, man.
It's been a complete honor.
I appreciate you being here. I really appreciate you being here.
Absolutely.
So once again, Leni Luxo on everything. Make sure you check him out. Man, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. It's been a pleasure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for tuning into We Create Music. You can always catch us every Saturday at 10 a.m. at wecreatemusic.tv. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, y'all have a great day. Peace out.